the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Euring?
Yes.
And Kish were present. I have the meeting minutes, the Amherst Township meeting minutes from November 14th from the regular meeting. The meeting was called to order at 7:01 p.m. by Lynch with pledge to the flag. Roll call, Abraham, Lynch, Euring, and Kish were present. Also in attendance, Case Marsh, G. Lynch, M. Orozco, D. Ambrosio, and L. Ashley. 11-123, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Euring. Move to approve the October 24th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as read. All ayes. 11-223, a motion by Euring, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve the October 24th, 2023 public hearing meeting minutes as read. All ayes. 11-323, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing, which includes ARPA fund expenditures as specified in documents provided by fiscal officer. All ayes. Under correspondence, the fiscal officer noted that packets contained a copy of the receipt for participating in the OTA Township Education subscription for 2024. Also a copy of the reservation form for the LCTA 2023 Christmas banquet. Trustee Lynch noted two items. One, from the prosecutor's office regarding the county commissioners inquiring about a potential ban of large wind and solar facilities in the unincorporated areas of the county, and a copy of the stock resolution for consideration if the townships choose to pass one. This will be discussed further at the Lorain County Township Association January meeting. Two, from the Lorain County Engineer's Office regarding Middle Ridge Road lighting upgrade and the email chain with Nick Castaros from First Energy with costs for the upgrade. Trustee Euring will contact Nick to schedule a meeting to discuss. Under reports, ambulance service. Trustee Abraham reported a special ambulance board meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, November 16th, 2023 at 4 p.m. at the Amherst Fire Station. Zoning inspectors. Sam reported for the month of October there were 9 permits. Year-to-date, we have 118 permits with a total of 40 new homes. Trustee Lynch noted that packets contain a listing of architects within our area here in Amherst Township. Trustee Euring is to contact the architects on the listing and determine if any are willing to work with the township on site plan reviews. Roads, parks, and cemeteries. Road Superintendent Smarsh reported regular maintenance, potholes, crack sealing, and leaves. Also, a couple of topsoil grass seed projects are almost completed. Rental property was cleaned up and some touch-up work as needed. Under Senior Services Administrator, Medicare open enrollment ends December 7th. Wreaths for cemeteries will be placed on December 9th. 10 a.m. for Middle Ridge and 11:30 a.m. for Kending. Shredding days held in conjunction with dumpster days collected 4,000 pounds. Complaints are being handled by the designated individual. Unfinished business. Trustee Lynch noted that we have 5 companies that pulled packets for the bids for the solid waste and recyclables. Bids are due November 20th, 2023 at 3 p.m. Trustee Euring noted that the Solid Waste Management District Policy Committee met today. Plan update received approval of 100% of the communities in the district. It will now be sent to the Ohio EPA ahead of schedule. Having 100% community participation will benefit the Solid Waste Management District grant funding requests. Under new business, 11-423, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring, move to disposition of unneeded, obsolete, and or unfit for use personal property per ORC Section 505.10A7. All ayes. Trustee Lynch noted that our December meetings are scheduled for December 12th and December 26th, and he proposed that we hold one meeting on December 19th, 2023 at 7 p.m. here at the Township Hall as our regular meeting and also as our end of year and 2024 organizational meetings. Everyone agreed. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, November 28th, 2023 at 7 p.m. here at the Amherst Township Hall. 11-523, a motion by Abraham, seconded by Euring, to adjourn at 8:12 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to November 14th meeting minutes?
I have one I have one question, Neil. That Trustee Euring will contact Nick. Wasn't that supposed to be Sean?
You should contact Sean in regards to First Energy's proposal for the LED lighting. And
I think, isn't that, my recollection is, was to contact Sean, not Nick.
Correct.
Right, okay. So then I would make that a correction that we should make that trustee Uri will contact Sean Tafala. To schedule a meeting to discuss. That's the only correction that I have.
All right, then can I have a motion to approve the November 14th, 2023 meeting minutes as corrected?
Yes. Second.
Abraham?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
For financials, you have the credit card, October credit card purchases in front of you. And then also you have the payment listing for the month, or I'm sorry, for the second part of the month. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Largest amount was the $10,911.72 to the engineer, and that was for the chip and seal program. And our year-to-date financials are, let's see. Revenue is $1,570,775.73, and our expenditures are $1,142,744.43.
What was our expenditures?
For the year,
Yes.
$1,142,744.43.
Okay, how much should we take in?
Our revenue is $1,570,000, $775.73.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We still got, as you're aware, Chris, because of waiting on some of the easements, those ditch projects will obviously get delayed. Are there any questions on the financials or the credit card report?
No.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payments of the items on the payment listing, which could include ARPA fund expenditures as specified in the document provided by the fiscal officer.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
The number on that, Chris?
That is 11-7.
I'm also going to make a motion that the credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy. The card statement is accepted as presented, subject to investigation.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Is there anything else there, Chris?
The only other thing I have under financials is I did receive that the December payment to Buckeye Bank will be the final payment on the rental property
Oh, great. That's nice to hear.
That's one
on
less
December
to worry
4th.
about.
So that'll be the last payment.
On the rental property?
That's finished.
We would have just had the money to clear it, right? You get the property, not the structure. All right, thanks, Chris.
Sure.
This is what the original?
Oh, yes, it is. That's where
Why
it
do
went.
I have it?
I don't know. You took it from me, David.
I did take it. It was in my pile.
That's
All
where
right.
it went.
Oh, I see
All
how
right,
you are.
at this time, I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. If anyone has anything to bring before the Board of Trustees, please raise your hand. Okay, ma'am, yeah, if you come up to the microphone there.
Am I allowed to sit?
Yeah, oh yeah. More comfortable.
Yeah, a little bit. So, I was here yesterday to file a complaint about a neighbor with his noise.
It's in the packet here,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
It's very annoying. You know, I can't even work in the yard. I can't even have my windows open. He seems to wait until I've been out there, and then it escalates with he increases the volume. He did that the other day. I went in the house, he turned off, went in the house himself. He started out just having, like a get-together here and there. Now it's turning into almost every weekend because I've asked him numerous times to tone it down. I've called the cops on him multiple times, and he'll stop for a while, and then he starts all up again. And it's getting to the point where I can't even be outside my house. And I've got a noise intolerance. I know that's on me. But the thing is, I've noticed other neighbors have kept their windows shut this summer, which they hadn't been doing before. And it's just like any time, day or night. He'll be out there at 10 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden he starts with this music. And it's getting to be ridiculous. And I don't know, I think he needs to be fined myself,
All right.
or whatever we can do.
Ms. Peterson, this is a radio or?
It's music, it's the ball games that he's listening to, it's in his garage where he is, where it doesn't have to be loud. If he's just out there watching or, listening to the ball game, that's fine. I don't want to have to listen to it. And according to the ordinance, I shouldn't have to because it's way, way too loud. And with his music, he turns that up, and it's any time of day or night. And again, according to this ordinance, I shouldn't have to listen to this.
Yeah, what's going to happen is this going to be assigned to our community officer, Deputy Fuller, to look at. She may be getting in contact with you.
Okay.
As far as fines, any fines are a result of a citation that's initiated by the Sheriff's Department.
Mm-hmm.
So this board can put these resolutions in place, but we can't enforce them. It has to come from the enforcement agency, which is the Sheriff's Department. And for David and Denny, it's towards the back of your packet. Ms. Peterson's complaint is in your packet where she explains what's going on, and she specifies the individual that's causing her concern. So Deputy Fuller will have the full picture here as far as where it is, if she doesn't already know, because you know how, I'm sure you've seen different deputies
Sure.
are out there patrolling
Yeah.
at different times. It
True.
depends who's on shift when you call.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing the right thing, and all we can do now is call the person, and I was
Okay.
hoping she'd be here, but she's not, so that she could have taken the complaint with her, and she can discuss it with the other staff. It's still always going to be the sheriff's judgment, though, to make sure that this is a noise beyond just, what you would typically expect in a residential area.
It's pretty bad.
Okay.
It really is.
We've had noise complaints before, and
Well, Hidden Valley is so condensed anymore. And, I did try to talk to this kid, as I keep calling him, about this because he's quite a few younger than me. That's fine. And his response was, the neighborhood is changing.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's all fine and dandy, but there are still enough various ages of people
Right.
living down there. It's really annoying.
It's always, it's always going to be representative of our community as a whole. I'm sure you're aware we had a movement during COVID where some people wanted us to get rid of the noise ordinance, and then they wanted to allow outdoor bands, and
Yeah,
we didn't agree to that.
no,
It just,
no.
it was getting to the point, the individual then, we couldn't even get an emergency vehicle through the street.
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
were coming in from all over the place. So, but we'll end up getting this to Deputy Fuller.
Okay.
You've got, and you can, let's see, I don't think we have her, I don't have her email address on here, but what we'll do is forward over your complaint with
Okay.
it scanned in. There's always, if you look at the agenda out there under the Sheriff's Department, there's a non-emergency number to call to.
And
Sometimes people don't like calling in 911.
Oh, no, I called the non-emergency number, and I apologize
good.
profusely, and the person that I talked to says, no, that's what we're here for. I feel bad doing it, not because of this kid, because he's being ridiculous and disrespectful as far as I'm concerned. I felt bad for the cops because they've got things to do instead of running around telling some kid to turn off his noise. And I'm sure you all realize or have heard that it's a common belief because you're in the township, there's no rules.
No, that's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've realized that, but, there are a number of people that do not. And this gentleman, if I can loosely say that, feels that way. he thinks that he's allowed to be out there until 11 o'clock at night with his music going on or his noises going on, and that is also not true.
Yeah, well, feel free to call anyone here at the township. But
Okay.
the Deputy Fuller will be getting in touch with you. You know what, I didn't, Georgianne, can you get her email address? I'd like the email address, though, so, oh, you've got it in the newsletter?
For Deputy Fuller,
Okay.
You still need my email?
I wonder, Andrea, can you, do you need to, do you have access to scanner or take?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll get this scanned over. I was going to say if I want this emailed right to Deputy Fuller, but that way you can correspond with her directly
Okay.
on this. So.
Yeah. Anything to resolve
But
this before.
I'll get this scanned and sent
Okay.
over to her.
I mean, I am perfectly willing to move, but I don't feel like I should have
But
to.
Georgianne, yeah, if you could just write it on the complaint here so that when this goes to Deputy Fuller, everything will be on it. Okay, was there anything else, Andrew?
Nope, I think that's it. I've complained enough.
All right, anybody else? All right, if you want to, you'll have to, you can swap the mic over.
Oh, here. No. I'll leave it.
Take your time.
That's fine.
Gotta clear my singing voice, huh? Good evening, all. My name is Omar. I'm with the Easy Waste Services. We've talked before a couple times. So we just want to come up here today and introduce ourselves. We're part of the, we own a waste management company here, local to the area as well. We're based out of Cleveland. We also own property here in Amherst Township. And we were grateful enough to have the opportunity to bid on the Lorraine County Consortium. And we specified that we wanted to bid on the Amherst Township itself. And, you know, being home to us. So we wanted to bid on it. And we just want to come up here and introduce ourselves and put a name and face to who we are. And hopefully have the opportunity to be servicing your guys' waste management needs for the next 5 years.
Okay, and the bids were all received and just emailed out late this afternoon.
Yes.
And I had they're on 11 by 17. I don't have 11 by 17 printer at home. I decided just to wait till the Solid Waste Consortium has their next meeting and the legal counsel presents those, Omar, and we'll go over the bids then. And then this board will make a decision who we're going with. And I think I've shared with you, and I believe Sam has too, I know we're also discussing a transfer station, but you're aware our zoning prohibits,
Yes.
you know, that type of operation in the township.
Totally understood. Our main concern currently is, you know, because of, like we said, we own property here in Amherst, we want to try to, you know, take over the waste management end of it and hopefully do our best job and do the best job and with the best prices.
Well, it'll be reviewed at the next waste hauling consortium meeting.
Awesome.
You know, and the legal counsel will go through in addition to a consultant between all the bids that are there.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. And if any questions, comments, or concerns you guys have on in regards to
Well,
any
you've
of our
got the
bids.
location for the meeting, right?
Yes, we do it
Okay.
down in downtown, correct, on Middle Avenue, is it?
I think that's middle with the recycling center.
Abbey
East
Road?
Broad.
Abbey Road,
Abbey Road,
yeah.
yeah, in East Broad.
Off of Abbey Road. I will get that from you.
Consortium meeting.
Yeah, because,
No, not the bid opening, but the consortium
well,
meeting.
the bid opening.
It happened already.
Yeah, on the 20th, yes.
That's what was on.
Middle
Middle
Avenue.
Was the bid opening.
Okay.
But usually even when they're reviewing these, many times the people that put in the bid show up because sometimes it's been rare that anybody's had all of the communities that are part of the consortium. Sometimes they split.
Yes.
And some of that is because some of them mandate or require that they have yard waste picked up. Others may mandate that the picking up of the containers in the rear of the yard versus out the curb.
Yes.
I mean, people get all sorts of things. And then there's always the options, such as our township asks for the option of yard waste pickup, so we see the bid both ways and can compare them.
Yes.
Okay, so that'd be the meeting you want to go to also,
I will do that for sure.
okay?
Awesome.
All right,
All right, thank you very much.
nice meeting you, Omar.
Pleasure meeting you guys.
Are you guys together, or?
Yes.
Okay.
We're back.
Okay. All right, well, then we'll move on. Correspondence, Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
Danny?
Nothing.
Well, I've got the items marked down on here. The first item is the Christmas banquet where there's, for Lorraine County Township Association in Russia Township on December 21st. There is a cost. If you're going to attend, it's $35. Get your reservation in. But there's always the door prize that for several years we've agreed to now fund that with the township first individually. We usually set the limit at $50. I assume that's okay again for this year. And it's a question if you guys have a desire to specify which business in the township. We usually get gift cards from a local business is what we give out as the door prize. So is $50 still good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, if you don't let me know which business, I'm probably just going to use one or two of the farm markets. I might use two of them.
You can use your discretion.
Okay. All right, the next item is we discussed at the last meeting that the Lorraine County Board of Commissioners and the Prosecutor's Office are looking for the townships to give input on solar and wind turbine farms. And so the Lorraine County Township Association will be holding a meeting in Grafton Township on the topic. That'll be on January 18th, 2024, which is a Thursday. We currently have one of the utilities there. We will have the policy statements from the Farm Bureau. There may be a third speaker, but none of them are going to be given more than 10 minutes at a shot, so maximum would be 30-minute presentation, and then each individual township would have to decide what they want to do as far as these types of projects. At our last meeting, I showed you where there is a approved solar farm in Erie Township and Groton. It's actually in Groton Township in Erie County. That was approved by the Ohio Power Siting Board, which previously had the jurisdiction before the legislature turned it over locally to the Board of Commissioners. I didn't realize there's also a large wind turbine installation there that was approved by the Power Siting Board, and that crosses over Huron in Erie County. And they're both managed by the same utility. So they've got both the wind and the solar. The wind, though that was approved by the Power Siting Board, that I don't know if it's been decided yet, but that's gone before the Ohio Supreme Court with the group that's opposed to that. And since then, the Board of Commissioners of Erie County have now prohibited any new installations going forward. But since these were previously approved by the Ohio Power Siting Board, the solar farm is under construction. The wind turbine, that's being held up till there's a decision in the courts as far as whether the people that have filed a lawsuit, how the court rules on that, that's anybody's guess right now. But it's going to be under the statutes that were in place at the time that was approved.
Okay, you said January 18th.
January 18th,
What time?
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah, actually, the meeting will start at 7, but typically the townships will have, knowing that many people are coming from work, they may have sandwiches or something else ready for a dinner, and that starts at 6:30.
That starts at 6:30.
Right.
Where's it going to be at?
Grafton Township.
Grafton Township.
Yep. Okay.
Where is Grafton Township?
Oh, that's out at, I don't have the address here, but got one of the books here. I know how to get there. You can go down 57. I tend to head out 10, get down there.
Well, can I go with you?
So, If you want, yeah.
Yeah.
We can do that. We can drive
Okay.
together.
What time will you be leaving? 6?
I would definitely be leaving by 6 o'clock.
Okay, I'll leave.
Yeah.
I'll go with
It's all
you.
weather dependent. If the weather's bad, I'll be leaving earlier.
I'll figure 5:45.
Yeah, that's probably better, Denny. You don't know what the weather's going to be in January. It never hurts to get there early. And that's, conversation happened before and after the meeting, but it helps if you get there early.
Okay, I got 5:45, I'll be at Neil's.
And then the OTA 2024 Winter Conference from February 7th through February 9th. And if you're going to go and intend to be there on the 7th, it starts at 8 o'clock a.m., so you probably want to get there the night before or leave bright and early and hope you have clear sailing and no bad weather. But you definitely want to get your reservations in, because if you delay, then there's a higher fee as time goes on. And then the last item, if you recall, we talked about the OTA providing an annual education subscription, and Chris has already taken care of Amherst Township's costs, because we've determined, based on what we pay for individual webinars, these are the ones where we'll get the training online, is that we're spending more than $250 already, so this is actually going to save us money. We were hoping that between the 18 townships in Lorraine County, and then we have Olmsted Township from Cuyahoga County as part of the Lorraine County Township Association, that if all 19 townships signed up for the annual subscription, there's a reduced rate of $175. We thought we had that taken care of, but one township, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, has decided not to participate. So it will be $250 for the annual subscription. That's per township, but it's money well spent as far as all the training you can get without having to travel to a different location. So especially for the zoning inspector and township administrator, they can actually do that here at their desk, or they can watch it on a large screen, which we've done in the past also. So that's it for announcements.
You might want to add that it qualifies for the Moore grant through
Oh, it
Otarma,
does.
which I will apply for this weekend when I'm working.
Right, good.
So the costs will be covered.
Yeah, and the cost is covered by the Moore grant. Chris has already taken care of that, in addition to the OTA conference is covered by the Moore grant. So that's the nice thing about that. And the Moore grant specifies, the certain items and some of the safety items that you have to use. But thanks, Chris. Okay, we're going to move on to ambulance service, and you've got a spreadsheet in your packet, and it's also presented up here on the screen. I was at the last meeting that was held at the Amherst Fire Station. This was on November 16th, and unfortunately, we were hoping to get multiple quotes. Since we had sent out a request for proposals, spent quite a bit of time in putting that out, but there was only one bid turned in. That was from our current provider, which is Life Care. I've got a copy of that proposal if you care to see it. Denny, this is going to you. They gave multiple proposals in here, but the one that the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District chose is basically sticking with the identical service that we have today. And doing that, it's a maximum of 3 years, which really, when you're discussion with the prosecutor, that's the maximum term we can go anyway. I know Life Care had put in a 5-year term. Obviously, they'd like to lock it up for a longer term, but the statute is very specific. It's a 3-year term. The statute does allow you to have a 1-year term extension, if you haven't worked out a change at the end, and that's the way we expect the contract will be written. The attorneys now have the proposal, and they'll be putting together a final contract for the Sandstone Joint Ambulance District to approve. But essentially, the other options were what happens if we had a dedicated ambulance that just stays within our district. because there's always a concern, since Life Care services a good portion of Lorraine County, particularly the cities of Elyria and the cities of Lorraine, that, those ambulances could get multiple calls going to one of the cities and may pull them out of your district. So I was trying to get one that would just always stay in the district. But the issue was, when you started looking at the cost of the ambulance plus the staffing of that, you started adding in well over $1 million to the cost versus the past contracts. It was actually no cost to the communities. And that's when we went to Life Care. Well, that's got to be almost 15 years ago, because we used to pay right around $30,000 a year when we used to have North Central as our provider. So when you look at this with the $183,000 per year, keeping the same service that we have today, essentially what that's going to, and you look at the number of calls, the way the resolution was approving this was that, just as in the past, is that each community in the district, which is the city of Amherst, the village of South Amherst, the Amherst Township, they will be billed by the provider separately, and they will pay separately. So the district doesn't have to worry about handling any money or setting up their own accounting and their own auditing. So the expectation is that each community will pay based on the number of calls they had, 911 calls for 2022. If you look up at the screen, in 2022, our call volume, there were 2,728 calls for emergency service. So this isn't regular transports. Realize Life Care does transports also, where an individual can do that on a private basis or by paying for a subscription service. This is strictly for emergency calls. So with that split, in Amherst Township, of those roughly 2,700 calls, 572 were in our township, or roughly 21%. So our portion of that $183,000 is going to be $38,371 a year. And so you will now be seeing a bill coming in, Chris. We haven't determined yet, this will be put into the contract as far as the frequency of that billing. If it will be monthly, quarterly, or annually. The district personnel that were at the meeting felt that quarterly is probably most appropriate, but we left that flexibility open to the attorneys as they draft the final contract. And the term of this would be beginning in January 1 of 2024, and then extending for the three years beyond that. So the good news is it put to bed. The bad news is we didn't get multiple bids on this. And I do know, in talking with the various fire personnel that were present from the village of South Amherst and Amherst, they've even talked with some of these other providers, and it appears the biggest issue that they have is getting personnel. So some of these others didn't want to take the chance of making a commitment to expand their territory and then find out they didn't have the personnel to service the area. And then there's also the added vehicles. That's a lot of capital up front to invest that they'd have to do on short order. But we will be going with Life Care. The district already voted on that, but we'll have to wait till the final contract is put together. But we will be seeing a bill on this. Okay, sheriff's not here. We don't have, Sam's not here for zoning, but I do have David. As far as the architect, have you had a chance to contact?
I've been working on that a little bit. I got one contact that I've made, and that person's sending a resume. I left messages, and waiting for recontacts, but I'm starting to work on that more. And
Good.
let you know.
Yeah, fire prevention officer's not here, and I didn't know if he has an email list for all the businesses, because I know he inspects all the businesses, but you will see going out in the newsletter, NOPEC just issued a release that they receive federal funds for a grant that can be between 60% to 100% for small businesses for an energy audit. So essentially, you could get it for free. And so we'll put it in the newsletter, which tends to go to the businesses, but it's going to be buried in there as just a small little article. I wasn't sure if Chris Nyhart had an email distribution list, since I know they all get entered on that software, the new software that the fire department has, where you could send a blast out to them so that they'd be aware that there's these grant funds available. I'm sure being federal funds, there's going to be a limited number, and you're competing among a large number of communities and businesses. But I'll see if I can, in contacting Chris, if there's any way we can just take that section out of the newsletter and get that blasted out to the businesses. What I'm not sure is, and one of the things we need to look at, because we're aware of when we've looked at energy audits before, they're usually pretty pricey. It just specifically in the information from NOPEC said for small businesses, in nonprofits, I don't know if that includes a political entity such as our own township in checking on it. But I'll find out on that also, but that's going to require a discussion with NOPEC and digging through the details of that federal money as to what the grant requirements are. Okay, we'll move on to roads, parks, and cemeteries. Superintendent Smarsh.
All just regular maintenance. Just about got done with the leaves before the holiday. We got a little bit of time here. We'll get them taken care of a little bit at the cemetery.
When the snow melts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had snow removal today. But you made the copy of the packet. I have a bid here for the yard waste grinding. Talking with Bob, who gave me the bid here, I see on it, it says December 23, January 24, like how we've been doing, as in getting it ground, getting it in, get it spent, and then if we have to haul it out on. But I told him that that was not the case, that we didn't have to try and jam it in.
Right. Yeah, there's no money coming from solid waste anymore.
Right.
If a
So-
lot of their upfront costs are mobilization, then we can wait till we got a bigger pile. It would make more sense.
Right, well, he was game that what he was gonna plan on doing here is that this quote would be good for January. Say after the pine tree or Christmas trees come in, any last little bits of, the fall foliage comes in, that he would be set for, taking care of it for January.
We were actually more comfortable with that time frame years ago until we had to move it up because of the grant requirements.
Correct, yes. I know last year we had gotten that other bid from Edwards, and it could have gotten way out of hand, dollar sign wise, so.
Well, if you look in the packet there, Kevin, I also put in what it was last year for comparison. And if you look at this, last year it was 3,200 cubic yards at 17,900. So when you look at that, it's relatively the same, because right now it's 3,450 versus 3,200. And the percentage increase from 17.9 to the 18.6 wasn't really that out of whack. But I think the biggest thing is, particularly since we're no longer receiving any grant funds here, and David, I've copied, this is what I'd sent to you last year, as far as looking at this in terms of other grant opportunities. And to my knowledge, that hasn't happened.
I'll eat crow on that. let me see if I can find out something between now and the next
Okay.
meeting. And,
Yeah.
you know, but we gotta have an answer for these guys, I know. But,
Okay. Well,
I
look
think
at
the number,
this.
one, question was, what is Illyria doing? That's,
That
I'm
was
curious
one
to
of them
find
going
out.
with Larry on their recycling.
About
yard.
that. It's my understanding that there's an employee of Barnes there. If there's an employee involved, then I would think there's some costs, but I don't know what the costs are. I don't know what the volume is they're generating.
It's a matter of working with them is finding out what the relationship is. You know,
Exactly,
Barnes
exactly.
obviously wants the material, and so if you do it more on what makes it easier for them to operate their business, and yet we get a benefit out of it, that's one option. The other thing is, as I mentioned before, is you've got to look at these various grants that are there. You know, we're aware there was like the mini grant. There was money left over in terms of the mini grant this year, and I talked about whether there was the opportunity, even though we already received 2, to apply for a third, even though they jokingly said our township wouldn't be eligible for another one. Well, if you don't have a place to take this debris, you know where it ends up. So it's either going to be plugging our storm sewers, or people drop it off, at night. It just gets dumped on the side of the road. So it's be difficult to end the service, but it is getting costly. So there's several different options here to look at. So if you can take a look at that, because with no more grant funds from the Solid Waste District, this is another big cost to assume here. Okay, so you figure now between this and the new life care contract is you've got 38, 48, and you're getting over $50,000 in additional costs that we didn't have before. Okay. And then, Kevin, just so you're aware, I did send to you and Linda on the mini grant, even though they haven't put it out yet. If we do I was told at the last Stormwater Advisory Committee that it would be the same, other than the funds they had left over from 2023 would be carried over to 2024. So there will be additional funds, but with their point scoring, particularly on getting it in early, I was hoping we could get those in early. But looking at it from a couple of different directions. One is, for some reason, I was thinking, was our street sweeping? I was looking through my records and couldn't find it. Do you recall what the cost was for the street sweeping? Is that around 12?
No.
Do you remember what it was?
It's 300 and some, for a trip around, Hemlock, Hidden Valley.
Are you doing Copper Creek too?
Who does the street sweeping? All-Pro?
Maintenance
Maintenance.
system.
Let me look.
Yeah, Copper Creek hasn't been done in a long time.
Hampshire will have to be done.
What is that?
We'll have to add Hampshire to it.
Did you find it, Chris?
No, I thought they went on.
Well, in any case, and we might be able to combine it, versus just, if it's too low, instead of just putting that separate, combine it in with the catch basins. Then I wanted to see if there are catch basins that require repair, are they in the same section where we may need the concrete replaced also? To look at it, and we can have the discussions with the stormwater district. Can we use that to help improve our odds of getting an OPWC grant? So using the one grant and what we're putting into that as our contribution to the roadway, because that is part of the road. And it's just something to think about as we go forward. But if we could, it'd be nice if we can get this done before the end of the year, so when they release that, most likely it's going to be released in January, we can just email our grant in. We'll have to look at the application and make sure they didn't change anything. But the discussion at the last Stormwater Advisory Committee was that it would be identical, other than adding the additional funds that are carried over from 2023. Okay. Didn't come up? That's okay. We don't, if you get that later, I'm just curious what the amount was.
It's not under that name, so I'm trying to think of what it,
Okay. And, oh, there was one other thing, and kudos, Kevin, you and Linda. I hope the trustees are aware of it now. We did get both projects in the OPWC Round 38 approved. So, you know, we're always told that those projects in the less traveled roads, that the odds of getting those approved are pretty slim. But in our case, the two biggest things that probably help were the large amount that Amherst Township is putting towards this project on Moss Canyon is estimated a little over $126,000. We only asked for under $7,300 in grant funds, but we'll get $23,000 in the 0% 20-year loan. Obviously, the balance we've got to pay ourselves. So, you know, for just under $31,000, we've leveraged in where we can get something done that we would have had to pay the whole thing ourselves. And so that's why I'm thinking too, if we can get, you know, watch those catch basins that are degrading, if they're within a section of a road, can we bring these together? We'd have to know that the stormwater district understands it's going to be delayed a year, you know, just because of the way the OPWC grant works. But the Moss Canyon project and the Middle Ridge Road project, going from the township line at Browntown Township up to Quarry, was also approved. And that's where the 1.5 inches is going to be milled off and replaced, and there may be some full depth repair on that project also. So we got lucky. Bid in. All right, there any other questions for Kevin?
No?
Okay, we'll move on then to...
With Barnes, I'm gonna wait to see if there's...
David, you're going to check on that? You've let them know that we're not restricted to that time frame, so...
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, I'm gonna check on that grading, guys, like I said, the next meeting.
Okay, well, what do you
Let me
want?
ask a question, when is our next meeting? The 12th, right?
The
The
19th?
19th, we canceled the regular meeting.
Right,
Just
be on
do
the
everything the 19th.
Right.
All right,
It'll be on the 19th.
we're gonna have one meeting in the middle of the month.
So that'll work for you.
That'll give us a little more time.
Okay,
We have one meeting on December on the 19th.
correct,
Right, I got that down.
correct. Yeah, I didn't think anyone would want to meet the day after Christmas.
No.
Okay, well, as far as the stormwater management that's typically covered here, I think we've pretty much discussed that. If you look, I do have the copy in there of the email that's sent to Linda and Kevin talking about the mini grant and applying for the street sweeping and the catch basins, which both lend into the stormwater because that's where the grant funds are coming from. So we'll move on to the complaints. I'll run down the list here. Well, Sam's not here for that one on the property maintenance, but I know he's been monitoring that. David, there's, here on street lights, there's a street
I
light
am
on...
still waiting on that estimate, and I reached out to the contact, Nick Casoros, and he said he would check into it. Another person in the office is supposed to be putting that together, and he would check on the status on that.
Okay. You're doing that in writing, so you have a historical record?
On the phone was today, if I don't.
Okay, probably
But
best.
I agree.
I would start doing that by email. If you notice the information I forwarded to you from Sean DeFalla, there was a nice email history there, the conversation. You know, because if there's if the responsiveness is not what's expected, you know, you've now got a record. You know, if you just talk on the phone, there's no record. Okay, there's the other, there was a lighting complaint, David, that came in through the internet. You've got a copy through our web address. You've got a copy here talking about a light at Deepwood and Hidden Tree that's out and flickering.
If I can get something done on that.
They do have a sense of humor. They said, look great on Halloween, but it's a dangerous intersection at night.
Yeah.
So if you can, and again, I would recommend on these street lights, put it in writing. Just send them an email. I've always found Nick to be pretty responsive, so it's disheartening when we come to these meetings and I hear that we're still talking about these street lights and nothing's happened.
Thanks.
Okay, the next one.
Expressed the same sentiments to him,
Okay.
and I wasn't happy.
Well, sometimes it's better if you put it in writing. Okay, I've got this item here, the bad odor thing comes and goes. That's where the residential is abutting up against a business, and we know what people thought the issue was, and we're hoping the business is taking care of it. But at this time of year, where it's not the hot, humid summer, there's not going to be any odor there now.
Where is this at?
On Old Middle Ridge, so the residents are on Old Middle Ridge, but the odor is coming from the southern portion of the existing Middle Ridge from a business there. They believe it's from Bourne's Lawn Care. They did speak with the supervisor, and our zoning inspector has to say one at the time was because some employees that were dropping off old grass clippings and that they shouldn't have been, and that they take care of it to avoid that, decay.
Right.
And that's what these residents thought they were smelling. So Sam is handling that particular one.
Okay.
And then the one with Ms. Peterson that just came in, you're aware of that one also with the noise complaint. I'll go ahead and get that off to Deputy Fuller. Okay, so with that, we'll just, for the items that are assigned responsibility and unfinished business, is there anything to bring forward?
I would just like to add, under the lights, just update on that. I know that there were 3 lights that were called in and trying to get those fixed. They're still not fixed. To get an explanation, on those lights, supposedly at least 2 of them, there's no voltage going to the lights. The light poles themselves will have to be replaced, and that's what they're waiting on, to replace those lights. There was a light at, I believe it's Rosedale and Deepwood, and it's been out, but they assured me that should be fixed soon. But I went by tonight, it's still not fixed. And the rates, I know there was a question, why would a high-pressure sodium light be less than an LED light? And Nick explained it to me this way. The lights, as they're set up now, the rating structure was set up on the old ESIP program that we were on years ago, and they since phased that out. They consider the lights, the rates grandfathered in. So the lights that we have are on a lower rate. However, if we weren't on the ESIP, or formerly, we weren't formally on the ESIP program, you mentioned like large cities, they're not on the ESIP program, their LEDs would be cheaper than their high pressure sodiums. But because of the old rate structure, which covered mercury vapor and high-pressure sodium. The rates actually wound up being fixed, and the rating structure is fixed, and they're at a lower rate, and the LEDs pretty much weren't around back when that program was set up. Were not included in the program, and that's the reason the price is higher. If we weren't on that program, our prices for high-pressure sodium would probably be higher. That's according to him. That's an explanation on it. Now, don't grill me on it. I'm just, Neil, because I'm just trying to explain how that discrepancy, how that kind of illogic
It's illogical.
developed.
It's not logical.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
this discussion with Nick when Hampshire Farms was going in. The decision was what type of light, and we thought that the LEDs consuming less electricity would be the lower cost way to go since you're using less of their product. And the reality was it was going to cost more. It's like, well, why would we try to be more efficient if it's going to cost us more money? I got the same thing about the contract, but those contracts
Then
are
it's on
only
a
good for,
different rate.
they're only
tier.
good for 10 years. So what happens? Are we going to now see this
Well,
jacked up?
That's a good question. That's a good question, Neil. Well, the ESIP program ended years ago, and they're still keeping the same rate structure. And without delving into it further and figuring out what all the ins and outs are of the contract, and I can't address it further, but that's the explanation that I had, and that was kind of curious. Why was it so illogical? Why would you be paying less for a light that used more electricity? And that's the reason why. It's not based on what the light uses. It's based on the old rates that they're still covered under. Don't look a gift horse in a mouth, I guess. They're going to charge us a lower rate for a light, and I'm not going to complain about it. But
Seems illogical, but okay.
I know. I'm just repeating what he said. Not that I agree or disagree, but like I said, if
I don't, David, I
knew
went through
more,
this
I'd have to
on
delve into it
Hampshire,
further.
So I understand, but, you know, the issue was with the only reason the LEDs came up again, and that's where you're to have the discussion with Sean DePaul in the engineer's office, is they were applying for the grants for the resurfacing of Middle Ridge Road. And some of the rating criteria that's in there is improving safety, and they do say improve lighting, improve safety. To improve that, they're going to switch to the LED lights. They wanted us to know that's where we have to agree, because we pay for the consumption of the electrical power. So the county engineer was willing to pay for the additional cost, which I believe was like $203 per fixture, to put in the LED fixture so that they could get improve their odds of getting the grant money, but it's going to cost us additional money. It wasn't that much since there weren't that many fixtures, and I provided that information at the last meeting. You weren't talking more than a couple $100 a year, but it's still, doesn't make a whole lot of sense that if you're consuming less power and yet you're paying more money. But in that case, it makes sense to do it to get the money for the road resurfacing. And that's the discussion that Sean wants to have with you, so you understand. I told him he needs to talk with you since you're assigned.
One other item that Nick brought up was that they're not making as many HSP lights as they used to. They're pretty much in the process of phasing those out.
Right.
So everything's going to be LED in the future. So even if you pay $7.70 a month versus $10 for an LED, you're going to get to the point you're not going to be able to get the HPS lights.
So when First Energy has to replace a fixture, what are they going to put in?
They're still going to put in a post type, I guess, and still put in a high pressure sodium. It's
What?
not gotten to that yet, Neil. All right, it's not gotten to that yet, but it's in the future. I think you can see it getting to that where so much lighting will be LED that will pretty much phase out, kind of like the wagon wheel. so many things will be tires that we won't need a wagon wheel anymore, so they just won't make them.
Okay,
All right?
all right.
Now it makes you smile. Now are you happy?
Yeah,
All right.
it still won't make sense.
I didn't say it made sense, but you asked me to make sense of it, and I can't. I'm just a messenger.
Okay, well, David, check your email because late this afternoon, as I indicated before, the Waste Hauling Consortium did send out all of the bids for, the different providers that provided quotes, and obviously Easy Waste was one of them, and there's obviously Kimball, Rumpke, Republic. There may have been one more in there. But you can look at it online, be prepared for when the next meeting is of the consortium. Okay, is there any new business?
No?
All right, our next meeting will be the end of year and 2024 organizational meeting on Tuesday, December 19th. Any other comments from the audience, since we got 2 left? Okay, there is going to be a need for an executive session here for 2 items. And you get the right section. It's per ORC section 121.22G. Number 3, this is for imminent court action impacting the public body. This will be for potential annexation. And then also the one for personnel, since we'll be discussing wages and promotions, that, hopefully we can look at that so we can have a clean decision at our board meeting. And that is 121.22G. Hang on, Chris. It is, it's 1, to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, and promotion, demotion.
Which one are we doing first?
I would like to do the one on the labor rates first, but we'll do them both in the, you want these as 2 separate motions in, David? Just one?
Just one. We always do it as one.
Yeah, because then we'll just go into executive session once and come out once.
Okay, I'm going by you. We were doing them all at once. Now, then I thought we started to do them one executive session for each item, so that we had to come out of executive session and go back in.
No,
when
we
got
did
to a new
that.
item.
There was one time, and I don't know if we missed the item or if there was something we had to take care of where we had to go to executive session. There might have been someone waiting here, so we had to come back out to take some action, went back
Okay,
in.
okay.
But
That's something next. I'll ask, get
right,
clarification
well, that's
on
my
that. But
motion.
so which ones are we doing? G1 and G what?
G3.
G1 and G3.
G3 and G1.
I'll second that motion.
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Gehrig.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we return to the regular meeting from executive session at 8:50 PM.
Second.
Lynch,
Yes.
Gehrig,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes.
Okay, well, with no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
So moved.
what about our next meeting? Do we need to announce that?
He already
Our next
did.
meeting is on Tuesday, December 19th at 7 o'clock PM. That'll be the 2023 end of year and 2024 org meeting.
All right. All right. That said, I'll second the motion to adjourn.
Abraham,
Yes.
Gehrig,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.